Hello and welcome to Working Wise, a podcast created and produced by K&L Gates. Each episode is designed to provide labor and employment updates and compliance tips to lawyers and HR professionals. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
Welcome to the K&L Gates Working Wise podcast series. My name is Gonzalez, and I am a member of the firm's Labor, Employment, and Workplace Safety Practice Group and based in the firm's Miami office.
And my name is Claire Flowers. I am also a member of the firm's Labor, Employment, and Workplace Safety Practice Group based in our Charleston office. In today's Working Wise podcast, we will be discussing the various employment law considerations for employers thinking about or planning Halloween-related events for their workforce.
In today's increasingly virtual workforce, and as businesses across the country begin to adopt new return-to-work models, employers are continually assessing ways to foster employee engagement and boost workforce morale. In line with this goal, and with Halloween creeping up, employers may be considering hosting virtual or in-person Halloween events to engage employees and to promote a positive workplace culture. However, without taking the proper precautions, encouraging Halloween celebrations in the workplace may also increase workplace liability, particularly in today's political and social justice climate. Whereas employees may have felt inclined to stay silent in the past on certain workplace issues, today there is an increasing sense of empowerment and need to speak up when things don't seem right. Indeed, just last June, the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or the EEOC, passed a resolution following the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, acknowledging the, quote, virulent racial discrimination in employment, including the accosting of African Americans, end quote. Through this resolution, the EEOC committed to redoubling its efforts to address institutionalized racism and equality of opportunity in the workplace.
Previous litigation may prove instructive for employers in determining potential risks that surround costumes in the workplace or Halloween-related activities. For example, in a particularly egregious case of racial discrimination in the employment context, a white supervisor instructed an African-American employee that the employee did not have to dress up for Halloween because the supervisor could simply dress in white, put a noose around the employee's neck, and walk down the street with him. The EEOC brought this case against the employer on the employee's behalf, and the employer ultimately settled for $420,000. Similarly, in 2015, a limousine service had a white employee dress in a black gorilla suit at a mandatory employee meeting on Juneteenth, despite many African-American employees requesting the holiday off. Here, the Fifth Circuit held that considering all the circumstances, the gorilla comparison in this case went well beyond a, quote, mere offensive utterance, end quote, and the caricature that occurred in this case surpassed most other intentional and offensive ape or monkey comparisons found in case law. The court further ruled that the severity of the harassment was apparent, exceedingly offensive, and egregious in light of the social context of hosting a mandatory meeting on Juneteenth. Employers recognizing Halloween in the workplace have also been subject to charges of discrimination based on religion and sex. In a case of religious discrimination, a Jehovah's Witness sued an amusement park for religious discrimination and retaliation after she was asked to go on leave until she found new employment for refusing to wear a lanyard promoting the park's Halloween events. Comparatively, in a case of sex discrimination, a plaintiff alleged that her supervisor's act of pulling on the tail of her tiger costume when accompanied with a sexual reference constituted sex discrimination in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act.
As mentioned earlier, virtual or safe in-person gatherings can be a great way to boost employee engagement. So, if you are an employer considering your option for a Halloween-related event, there are several things to keep top of mind in order to minimize the risk of finding yourself in unwanted litigation. A good place to start is by ensuring that whatever event you plan and whatever policies you implement, all policies are applied uniformly without regard to gender or gender identity, especially for Halloween, but also without regard to race, sexual orientation, ethnicity, or any other category protected by federal, state, or local law. Importantly, employers should not require employees to participate and should emphasize that no retaliatory action will be taken towards any employee that declines to participate. As always, employers should remind employees that all workplace policies remain in effect, including, if applicable, an employer's alcohol policy, weapons and workplace safety policy, sexual harassment policy, anti-discrimination policy, and importantly, any COVID-19 workplace safety protocols implemented by the employer.
Employers must also be cognizant of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, and be prepared to address any accommodation requests from employees who may wish to participate but may require certain accommodations in order to do so. For example, one of the 3 categories of reasonable accommodations outlined by the EEOC includes, quote, modifications or adjustments that enable a covered entity's employee with a disability to enjoy equal benefits and privileges of employment as are enjoyed by its other similarly situated employees without disabilities, end quote. Thus, employers should remain sensitive to the fact that certain event activities, such as various competitions or contests, may inadvertently exclude certain individuals protected under the ADA. Relatedly, employers planning to host an in-person office event should continue to comply with health and safety guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and workplace guidelines from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, as well as state and local regulations. Employers should be sensitive of the fact that certain individuals may be uncomfortable attending an in-person office gathering due to the COVID-19 pandemic and should be prepared to address such concerns or alternatively plan for hybrid model events.
Another key consideration for any workplace Halloween-related event is costume guidelines and policies. Rather than banning an exhaustive list of costumes, employers should consider general themes that they may want to avoid. For example, an employer may consider excluding any political, racial, or religious costumes from the workplace. If an employer is in the service industry, it should warn employees that costumes must be consistent with existing workplace dress codes for interacting with consumers, clients, or customers. For example, allowing employees to dress as skeletons if they work at a nursing home or as demons in a daycare or school would likely be inappropriate. Similarly, employers should consider the impact of any fake weapons in the event an employee chooses to include a fake weapon as part of a costume. Lastly, employers should warn employees against dressing in any costume that may seem to parody a particular culture, race, or religion. For example, any Native American dress, a Mexican sombrero and poncho, or Afro-American wigs are clear examples of costumes that would cross the line between costume and cultural appropriation. Any religious, ceremonial, or ritual attire should be expressly prohibited as well, such as religious figures, turbans, or saris. Indeed, employers may consider working with counsel and issuing a cultural sensitivity or cultural misappropriation policy for their workforce.
Much of what we have discussed may seem common knowledge to those listening. However, as mentioned earlier, given the current social justice climate, now is the time to be taking a fine-tooth comb and ensuring that workplace policies, culture, and employee engagement events foster and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. While Halloween or holiday workplace events may promote workplace culture and employee engagement, perhaps one of the best ways to increase employee engagement is to ensure that a fully inclusive workplace culture exists year-round. Employers should consider conducting implicit bias or cultural sensitivity trainings for their workforce so that many of these issues discussed today are not only top of mind for employers, but also top of mind for their employees throughout the year.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of K&L Gates Working Wise podcast series. More episodes in our series can be found at klgateshub.com, and you can learn more about our labor, employment, and workplace safety practice on our main website, klgates.com.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish a safe and happy Halloween to all those who celebrate.
Thanks again for listening to Working Wise. New episodes are available for download through iTunes, Google Play, and other podcast applications. If you have any topics you would like to hear about on the next Working Wise podcast, please send them to workingwise@klgates.com.